Alright guys, we're in Hanover, Virginia. I just left a monument for Jeb Stuart that I will try to link to at the end of this video when I make it. I'm headed now to the Hanover, Virginia Courthouse. When you read Civil War history, you'll see Hanover Courthouse mentioned a lot. There were railroad lines that were fought over during the Civil War there. Battles all around this area when the Union Army was trying to get to Richmond. There were no battles fought in Richmond. The battles were fought over trying to get to Richmond. When it comes to history and Civil War history in Virginia, I have a little bit of a funny story. When I was in college, I was working full-time and going to school full-time, and one of my jobs I had was as a concierge at a hotel. And we all, as the concierge, had our own little specialties, and mine was history. Like if a hotel guest wanted to know about the Civil War sites and other history in Richmond and around, the other concierge would kind of hand them off to me. And then others had live music scenes and restaurants. We could all kind of dabble in it. We had little cheat sheet talking points, but I always enjoyed talking history with people. But you know, keep in mind, I was a college kid. Well, this guy who was one of the National Park Rangers was doing a lunch and learn at the Virginia Fine Arts Museum, and he asked me if I would be willing to just show up and answer a few questions from the audience. And I learned a big lesson about that whole experience of asking more questions. So he said, you know, we're doing a little lunch and learn, there'll be a few people, just wondering if you would mind showing up and just answering a few questions about what are people interested in when they come and see the city of Richmond. I'm like, okay, sure, I can do that. I don't mind public speaking. So I get there, and I'm walking in, and it was an auditorium, I don't know, 150, 200 people, and they were handing out little leaflets, and the leaflet said, guest speakers. And I was listed as number one, and a guy from the National Park Service, a different guy, was listed as the co-speaker, number two, and there was a third one that had like opening remarks. And I said to this park ranger, I said, oh, when they were doing the introductory remarks, they mentioned that you would be hearing from me and this other guy in a few minutes. And I asked this guy, I'm like, were you told this was a speaking event? He's like, no. He's like, I was told it was just going to be a little Q&A. So both he and I start scribbling notes down to cobble together a few remarks. And I had a little more time because I was speaking last, which was weird, because I was this young college kid and this guy was like a park ranger. Anyhow, I don't remember much of what I said. I talked about Hollywood Cemetery and all this stuff, but keep in mind the audience was tourism people, and I remember ending the line with, and we want modern day visitors to say the same thing that Ulysses S. Grant said, on to Richmond. And I was very proud of coming up with that line and the way to end it. And but one of the funny things to me after that event, right after it ended, on the way out the door, the guy from the Richmond National Battlefield Park Service kind of was not happy with me that I didn't mention more about the Richmond National Battlefield Park. And You know, I just said there were no battles fought in Richmond, but we have the Museum of the Confederacy, which I talked about, Hollywood Cemetery, where a bunch of Civil War notables are buried, Monument Avenue, which is now gone. But these were things that when tourists came, they wanted to know about, they wanted to see. And when I would bring up anything battlefield related, most of these folks did not want to go walk battlefields. They didn't want to drive battlefields. And that's still true today. But they wanted to go to museums. Graveyards were a big hit, to see graves where people were buried. And I was honest with the guy, so I gotta be honest with you. You know, keep in mind, I was a college student, and I've done a lot more reading since then, but I didn't really know that much about all the battles around Richmond. I knew more about the politics side of it. I loved studying, and the personalities and bios. But at that point in my life, I had not actively studied battles as much, except a few of them. Which I told the guy, I'm like, look, I didn't even know I was going to be speaking here. I'm a college kid, and I thought I was going to be fielding a few questions. And I'm sorry, but I never forgot that, man. That was, what was that, 30 years ago? Yeah, maybe just over 30 years ago. And I learned a lesson about asking for, a lot more questions if I'm asked to come speak at something. As I mentioned, we're heading to Hanover Courthouse. And being that Hanover is on the outskirts of Richmond, you can imagine a lot of the on to Richmond was coming north from D.C., from Northern Virginia down to Richmond, and Hanover was in the way. Hey guys, so I mentioned I was coming to Hanover Courthouse area, and that's where I'm at right now. This is the modern day kind of grounds. I'll kind of give you the quick look around here. Nothing too crazy to see here, but there is a statue, a monument rather, that I've never gone up to look at. So I'm going to walk over there, and we'll check this thing out together. It's a Sunday, so there's no one here, or at least I don't think there is in any of these structures. I'm open carrying out here wearing this shoulder rig, and you always have to kind of double and triple check to make sure you know the laws, and I believe I'm good, otherwise it would not be open carrying. Open carry in Virginia is legal for any person who can otherwise legally own a gun, but unfortunately they passed a law a while back that the counties can ban certain things. It's kind of a neat little walkway we're about to go through here. Love the architecture out here. I wish I could share the smells with you of all the I don't know what I'm smelling. My dad could tell me what I'm smelling out here in terms of the bushes and stuff. But beautiful grounds here. Let's see, let's walk around together around here. Take a look at this statue. Well, you can tell it's Civil War related because of the muskets and cannonballs on it. So let's see together what we got here. Give you a side view of the structure. Check a look at this sign together. All right, so the sign, I'm going to skim through some of this. In December 1763, the historic Hanover Courthouse was the site of the famous Parsons Cause. It started the American Revolution. Patrick Henry voiced one of the first objections to denial of the colonials' right to legislate in local matters and arbitrary rule. In his first prominent case as an attorney, Patrick Henry defended Sheriff Thomas Johnson of Louisa County, who was responsible for the collection of tax levies, against a lawsuit for back pay brought by the Reverend James Maury in the name of the vestry of Fredericksville Parish. This is interesting. Patrick Henry argued that by interfering with laws passed by the elected representatives of the people of Virginia, a king behaved as a tyrant and sacrificed his claim of obedience from his subjects. Swayed by Henry's eloquence, the jury awarded damages of 1 penny. And there's a lot of, there's another sign over here. Let's check out what this has got to say here. Hanover County was organized in 1720 and named for George I, King of England, and former elector of Hanover in Germany. 17 years later, construction of the courthouse began and was completed in 1743. The design of its slate roof, brickwork, and arched porch echoed the Capitol and public buildings at Williamsburg. I'm not going to read the whole sign to you there, but I might post it here if you want to pause it and read it. Let's see, this side is showing soldiers from Hanover that fought in the Civil War, or I guess wounded. They've got killed, wounded, died in service with different markers next to their names. It's on this side. More infantry, and you can see there's markers for killed, wounded, or died in service as you go. Hanover, to her Confederate soldiers and to her noble women who love them, officers above the rank of lieutenant, more down here. Show you the front of this structure. I think this is the original courthouse building. Yeah, it is. It says built in 1735. You can definitely see a colonial Williamsburg influence. So we're all locked up here, right? Let's walk this way. It is a hot one out here today. I've already had to stop and kind of get hydrated, and I think before I leave here, I'll be doing the same. Ye old stone jail, and you can see here we're locked out, or they're locked in, however we'd like to look at that. Walk around this side. See the structure from this side. And if we were to ride more around this area, there's other Civil War battlefields that are all around this area as the Union Army tried to make its way to Richmond. In case you want to see this side of this original courthouse. Beautiful old structure. With modern amenities back here. All right, that's it from here of the Hanover Courthouse. I'm going to work my way back to my bike, get some fluids in me, and get back on the road. See you on the road.